Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 19 of Season 2 of the F1 22 Haas Road to Glory. Yes, we're back this weekend out at the team's home Grand Prix, of course, the USGP. We're back at COTA, and if you missed out on the last video from Suzuka, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. The championship is really spicing up now. 4 races to go, and there is still a 3-way scrap for this championship crown. But quickly, before we jump into the spoilers, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you for the continued support on the channel. We're under 1,500 subs away now from 100,000. So if you're watching this, you haven't clicked that big red button, it would be greatly appreciated if you would do so down below. But championship-wise then, we head into the USGP with a 1-point lead over Max Verstappen here. 17 points ahead of Sergio Perez. It's still definitely a 3-way scrap as we head into those final few races. But that being said, Charles Leclerc, often in the past, has done very well late on in a championship campaign. He's currently sat 42 points back. He'd need a bit of a miracle, but if myself and the Red Bulls keep tripping over each other, Charles Leclerc could certainly get towards Abu Dhabi with an outside shot at this World Championship then. But yeah, we've got to try and keep on, you know, the good momentum that we built up in recent times. We seem to have quite a good race and then a bit of a mediocre race, so we'll see what COTA holds this weekend. But like I said, the team's home Grand Prix, I really do think this one is one we absolutely need to win. Let's get into it though, ready here from Texas. Well, it looks like it is going to be a race out into qualifying then here from COTA. Rain is predicted in less than 5 minutes here into the session, so it might end up being a one-shot qualifying. You can see one of the Alpha Towers first out onto the venue. Charles Leclerc and I not far behind with Kevin Magnussen just heading out as well. I'm amazed that not everyone has rushed out just yet, but we've got to get on with it. It might end up being just a one-run session. Well, Charles Leclerc and I are basically racing around on our outlap here. You can see we've jumped the monogas driver. He is still all over my gearbox as we wind our way into the final corner. Let's hope he's not going to get a run on me down at turn 1, as he gets all in a rear diffuse there. I mean, come on, Charles, surely once I've jumped you. I jumped him down the back straight, so he certainly had a lot of time to fall away from us, but it might, like I said, be a one-shot qualifying session here from COTA. Let's try and get this lap nailed. Winding our way up through the final few turns then, I've noticed neither of the Red Bull cars has still ventured out onto the circuit there. Yuki Tsunoda sets the first benchmark then on a 1:33.8. Surely you're able to go a bit quicker than that. Out of the final corner, there's the flash, and we do a 32.8 there. Charles Leclerc goes P2, and surely now, if this rain is meant to drop as heavy as we're expecting, which you can already see on your screens, Kevin Magnussen's gone quicker. This could be a Haas front row lockout here at COTA, because surely a lot of other cars are immediately going to struggle. I mean, look at that gap already then. You can see Esteban Ocon 2 seconds off the pace. George Russell 10 seconds away on the soft compound tyres there. Ricardo's gone quicker. We're locked in, basically. This is P2 on the grid in the Haas front row lockout here for the US Grand Prix there. We can see K-Mag definitely quicker in Sector 1 and Sector 2 there. Charles Leclerc in P3, but we're better. I think this is the team's first ever 1-2 in Formula 1. We're better than our home Grand Prix. Surely it's not going to dry up enough. That's qualifying over. Where are the Red Bulls? out of interest, neither of them have finished the lap yet. So let's see if we can try and find them. Are they actually out on circuit? There's Verstappen, P17 at the moment. Sergio Perez a little bit further up in P14. That is crazy scenes here. Well, there we go then. Qualifying done and dusted here from COTA, and it's Kevin Magnussen on the pole for the second time this season. Myself P2 there, locking out the front row for Haas. Charles Leclerc in at P3, but Max Verstappen P12, Sergio Perez P13. We have got a huge opportunity to give ourselves a bit of a points buffer at the top of the championship. It's a mixed up grid here for the US Grand Prix. There doesn't look to be many of the major surprises, I guess. You know, AlphaTauri looking strong. But let's get into it though. USGP starting right at the very front. This is a big chance for Charles and I.
Here we are then in one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, the fabulous Austin in the great state of Texas. The circuit itself, 14 miles southeast of the city centre, has been home to the US Grand Prix since 2012, the latest in a long list of iconic tracks to have that honour. It's the Circuit of the Americas then, situated 14 miles outside of the great city of Austin. This is a 3.6 mile lap with 20 corners, 10 to the left and 10 to the right, and top speeds of around 200 miles per hour. Overtaking opportunities are available into turns 1 and 12, especially with that rear wing DRS wide open. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Mr. Monaco lines up on pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Ocon, Norris, Pierre Gasly and Russell, Sainz, Hamilton, Magnussen, they've taken a grid penalty, and Sergio Perez, Tsunoda, Bottas, Lance Stroll and Mick Schumacher. Verstappen, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo, they've taken a grid penalty, and Alex Albon, Joe and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? And a warm welcome to Natalie Pinkham, who's beside me in the commentary box today. Now, can I get your take on Max Verstappen? They've had to change their gearbox, of course, but it's never a good start to a Grand Prix when right off the bat, you have to contend with a grid penalty.
Well, at the end of the day, it's always better to take some pain now than parking up halfway through the Grand Prix. Let's hope they can put that new gearbox to good use and get the results they're looking for.
This is the team's home race. We're all relying on you to impress today.
Well, a little bit gutted then that our teammate Kevin Magnussen has had to take some grid penalties, but Natalie Pinkham's just said it, you know, of course, you'd rather take some pain now than have a mechanical failure at some point during the Grand Prix. But it does also mean we're starting from pole position then here at COTA. Plenty of cars even further out of position. Max Verstappen as well with some grid penalties. Sergio Perez, I'm sure, will be looking to try and take a few points out of his teammate today. But really, the battle at the front is going to be between myself and Charles Leclerc. If Leclerc wants an outside chance at this world title, he's probably going to have to beat me here. Well, this could be a championship-defining race. If we can get a win here, and Verstappen and Perez struggle to score points, we really do go into the final three, knowing that if we get a mechanical failure, if we just have a rough weekend, we have got a bit of a buffer that we haven't really had all season long. But the US Grand Prix, like we said, the team's home race as well, we want to try and deliver a big result this weekend. Verstappen way down the order. Sergio Perez, Kevin Magnussen quite far down the order as well. Charles Leclerc is really the only major threat this weekend. We've got Alpine, McLaren and AlphaTauri just behind us. Do this thing though, US Grand Prix here from COTA, waiting on those 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go as we try and just monitor the wheel spin. Esteban Ocon getting a lightning start there down around our outside in towards turn 1. Often we see a few dive bombs coming in through that first corner as we'll try and get back around the outside of the Frenchman there. 3 wide as we head down in towards turn 2, but luckily Ocon and Lando Norris, they're both backing out of that one, so Charles Leclerc into the lead of the Grand Prix. I can see Carlos Sainz has moved up the order in the other Ferrari up into P5 there, so Gasly has gone backwards there off the start, but Sainz as well also on a set of soft compound tyres, so he's going to have to try and go very, very aggressive on the strategy this afternoon. But Charles Leclerc knows my weak point. It always has been, it probably always will be on F122 is my launches, so if he can try and break free early on in this Grand Prix, that's going to be his best chance to try and fight for the victory today there. But Ocon now as well, pulling away. George Russell has made a move on Carlos Sainz there, so plenty of movement going on. And now for Romeo up into P7 then at the start here, so a big opportunity for them to score some big points early on in the weekend. We can see one of the Red Bulls still trapped behind. That must be Perez still behind Magnussen, I'd imagine, with Verstappen moving up the order to slot in just behind his teammate. But all three of those cars today probably going to need to try and work together to move up the roster. But we've seen the Red Bulls being able to do that week in and week out, of course, just even after a bad qualifying session or some grid penalties, able to recover places. Magnussen, not so much. He does often seem to get bogged down in the midfield. There's something about this Haas car just never quite as clicked with him. We've seen flashes of brilliance from our teammate. That pole lap yesterday, of course, being one of them. But Charles Leclerc leads the way then at the end of lap 1. We've got 1.6 seconds to the car in front, 1 second to Esteban Ocon behind. Just got to try and settle down, get into the groove early on, and make sure that Charles Leclerc doesn't get too far away there, as Magnussen seems to have made some progress. Looks like the AlphaTauri and the Mercedes, I'm guessing that's Tsunoda. No, it'll be Pierre Gasly still, won't it? And I'm guessing Lewis Hamilton then having a bit of a battle, and that's holding up the Red Bulls behind them. That's what I love to see. And just slowly easing up the pace then as we come towards the end of lap 2. 3/10 taken at Charles that time round. We're not quite within the DRS zone just yet, but we know we have got a minor performance advantage over that Ferrari car. You know, Charles Leclerc yesterday might have had a bit of dirty air on those qualifying runs, but I was definitely happy I got round him, because I think we would have probably got stuck behind him on that lap. So we know we've got a bit of extra performance than what is often still considered sort of the big brother team, if you will. But yeah, Haas have really come to fight this year, and fight we will right to the bitter end. Quite funny looking on the mini-map just how quickly cars have spaced out in this Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc and I, of course, we probably, unless we get a safety car or something, are going to be the two fighting for the win today. But Esteban Ocon there, 4 seconds back already, keeping Lando Norris and George Russell at bay. Then there's an even bigger drop back to the AlphaTauri car there, I'm guessing, of Tsunoda. Oh, steady on through those final couple of corners. Who, I mean, he's keeping the other Mirka Hamilton at bay, but then also both of the Red Bull cars. Then another gap back, as we say that. Yellow flag's out. Someone's got issues somewhere down the order. It's one of the Red Bulls. It's Perez. I think that might be Sergio Perez out of the US Grand Prix there. And a bad weekend might be about to get even worse for Checo as we start just lap 5 of the Grand Prix. There, his teammate Verstappen has taken some grid penalties, and we spoke at Singapore, of course. He announced his retirement from Formula 1. Is this Perez out of the Grand Prix? The Tiffy's out. And are we seeing the Red Bull out as well? Perez is out of the Grand Prix as well. And we have immediately got a safety car then here at COTA, and that might well be Sergio Perez's last chance at a Formula 1 World Championship, going up literally in smoke. Heartbreak for Sergio, out of the US Grand Prix. But for us, does it change the strategy? I'm not really sure it does, to be honest. I think we're better off staying out here on these mediums. There we go. Confirmation Leclerc is not boxing either then at the end of lap 5, so I think it's just worth trying to stay out of trouble early on in this GP. But yeah, we'll have a quick look then where everyone is under the safety car. But yeah, heartbreak for Perez. That is surely championship dreams gone. Well, interestingly enough then, Carlos Sainz wasn't surprised that he's pit in this GP, of course, coming off of those soft compound tyres there. But I'm guessing Verstappen was on the same strategy then, because he's down in P15. That's definitely not Charles Leclerc's on board. That is most definitely Esteban Ocon. There is Mick Schumacher in his Williams up inside the top 10 as well. So looking good for him very early on in the afternoon. They're both Alfa Romeos have now been shuffled back to the rear of the field, so I've got no idea what happened to the one that was right up the order, but still sat in P2. Magnussen up into 6th place as well, so we have got a bit of a rear gunner as well. Of course, we've still got to be careful of Ferrari in the Constructors' World Championship, but we're doing all right early on here. Got to get ready for the restart. Well, 20 laps to go then, here from COTA, and it's last year's world champion versus this year's hopeful one. As Charles Leclerc then out of the final corner. Are we going to be able to attack the Ferrari off of the restart? I guess we've just got to also try and pull away from Ocon once again. There is green flag racing once more here from COTA. Now is a real opportunity there. Of course, if we can stay within the DRS range of Charlie Boy, We might be able to apply a bit more pressure that I was slowly gearing up to early on in the day, but I hadn't quite got close enough yet. Starting lap 11 then, here from Cota. Charles Leclerc still leading the way, but this time around we have stayed within the DRS range. There is DRS now enabled. Not going to be long before we're boxing over onto a set of the hard compound tyres to see us through to the flag, but yeah, gap to the cars behind again has opened up as we would expect. Esteban Ocon has seen his teammate Alex Albon take a couple of podiums earlier on in the year. He wants a trophy for himself late on in the season there, as you can already see Charles Leclerc throwing that car through the S section, trying to break that 1 second window. I don't think he's going to be able to, though. We're running, again, as always, quite a bit of downforce on this Haas there as we run slightly wide over the crest, but we are able to stay close to that Ferrari. Let's see, I mean, we won't get the run this time around unless Charles does something catastrophically stupid, but let's see how much of a top-end advantage it does give us. Of course, it is a weirdly long DRS zone around this Cota circuit. There's gaining quite rapidly on Charles Leclerc. He's going to have his work cut out trying to defend. We just need to be a little bit closer into the DRS zone. Try and make sure we're just a little bit closer to Charles this time around as we head down the hill. Leave the car in 7th gear. Get all the power out of it. And then, of course, use the engine brake down in towards the hairpin. Are we now going to be able to get a run on Charles Leclerc in this US Grand Prix as we head down the back straight? It's been a brilliant little scrap early on this afternoon there. Charles Leclerc sees us. We'll go to the outside of the Ferrari car. Then a little bit of front locking in towards the braking zone, but Charlie actually gives me the room. I was not expecting that. He had the whole car in front there. I was honestly expecting him just to slam the door, but Charles Leclerc has almost let me by in the USGPs, and up into the lead we go then for the first time since the start. Are we going to be able to pull away from the Ferrari, or will he be able to, able to continue applying the pressure there? As big snap of oversteer, and Charles Leclerc will almost say, hang on, he's just turned completely across me. We can't be enjoying that. We'll get absolutely taken out. Come on, get back on the circuit. That is so annoying. The AI on this game, I'm getting more and more issues with it recently. It feels like every other race at the moment, we're just getting turned in on there, as we were still side by side with Charles Leclerc. He broke later than me, but we were still pretty much alongside before I hit the brakes. I felt like I warranted some room on the inside, especially as we were still technically the car defending the position, and now we're a long way back from Charles Leclerc in this GP. We have now really got our work cut out. I mean, to be honest, the only thing that would have made that incident worse is if the FIA had said it was my fault as well, because normally they do on F1 22, but if someone did that to you in a league race, you'd be sending them to the stewards for a penalty there. No room at all given by Charles Leclerc as we went through that set of corners, and he's going to dive into the pit lane now. A handful of other cars are going to do so as well. Well, I'm just looking at the tyre wear here. I'm wondering if we're going to be able to extend this stint up on 40% on the rears. Of course, we did get helped by that safety car. We could get these, you know, another 4 laps or so. We could go softs to the checkered flag here and really open up a bit of a better strategy for us. It is going to be aggressive on both sets of tyres, but really, like I said, not happy with Charles Leclerc. I know he wants to try and get in the fight for the championship, but in my eyes, taking out the championship leader is probably not the best way to go about it. Haven't had the lead for very long up to this point of the afternoon, but Lando Norris did get a few laps under his belt there as rounding the final corner. Back into the lead we'll go then as we cross half distance here at Cota. Looks like Verstappen is staying out there as well a little bit longer, so maybe he's trying to go the same way as myself on strategy. Carlos Sainz applying pressure to him. Of course, both of those cars still out there from their earlier pit stops, but yeah, Charles Leclerc then 11 seconds back. So effectively, we're 11 seconds minus a pit stop behind. But if we can have fresher, softer tyres to the end, we should be able to go at rapid rates of knots quicker than the Ferrari. Let's just keep our head down and get to our pit window. There we go. Verstappen and Carlos Sainz then into the pit lane, so Charles Leclerc will re-inherit P2 then this afternoon. Looks like Lando Norris has moved himself clear of the Alpine car as well of Esteban Ocon. But Charles Leclerc, the gap is coming down, but not too aggressively at the moment. We've just got to keep our head down still. I'm going to box probably the end of 18. I might go into 19, depending on how the tyres are feeling. But yeah, it's so frustrating when the AI just seem to do that to you every single race at the moment. Oh, I've just forgot to pit. Oh, dearie me. Oh, no. I was going to pit at the end of 18. Well, apparently I've gone 1 lap longer. Then at least I'd know the tyres aren't completely awful, otherwise I would have been begging to try and get to the pit lane then. Tyre wear warning light has just flashed up though. That's not... I wouldn't recommend doing that on F122 as Verstappen then sets 35.4 new benchmark. Surely we are going to blow that out of the water. Right, actually remember to pit this time, Matt. That would be quite handy late on here in the US Grand Prix. Luckily Charles Leclerc hasn't taken too much out of me in this stint, but I'm always surprised when I come back to COTA at just how well the tyres last. So we're winding our way through the final couple of turns. Let's just get it dialed in nicely into the pit lane, get the car slowed down at the 50-mile-an-hour mark as well there. And where are we going to re-emerge then in this GP? I don't think we've lost that much to the midfield runners there. Esteban Ocon has really struggled in this second stint in the afternoon, so we might not have a huge amount of work to do. There goes Charles Leclerc back into the lead of the USGP. 2.4, that was pretty good. As we head back out of the pit lane then, there goes Lando Norris, but we are going to be... Whoa, steady on. We are going to be very, very close to Ocon on pit X there as well with 3 wide. I'm not getting involved in that. Go on, K-Mag, try and get around George Russell then. So back out in P6 of this GP. They're ahead of Max Verstappen, rather importantly as well. So every place we gain now is just adding to our buffer in the World Championship then from the Dutchman. But still Charles Leclerc, rather dubious circumstances. Looking like he again is going to bring himself one step closer to potentially defending his crown. We've just got so much more grip though than everyone else at the moment as we get down towards the bottom of the hill. Hopefully the team are just going to tell Kevin not to defend too aggressively from me, but I feel like I say that every time we have a battle with Kevin Magnussen on this game, and he never really does. We're a long, long way back. But look at the grip we've got. Oh, a little bit of cadence break in there into the apex. Well, we kind of missed the apex, but we're still through. No contact was made either. Let's try and see if we can get past Russell and Ocon sooner rather than later. There's still a tiny part of me that believes we can win this race, but Charles Leclerc is a long way up the road. Oh, Russell, big slide out of the final corner. That's going to make things even easier for us. To the inside we'll go. It's going to be another place gain then. We're almost back into the podium almost immediately, as you can try it, mate. It's not going to work. Try and force him out a little bit. Hopefully that'll bring Kevin a bit closer once again to the Mercedes. Next up, Ocon. I feel like this one's just going to be a nice simple move down the back straight. But we need to make sure as well that we bag ourselves fastest lap bonus point, because that is quite an important one. To make sure that Verstappen doesn't score it. We might not even have to wait until the back straight there. Getting a nice run on Ocon as we head down the hill. We'll claim the DRS. And we'll claim the place before we even got to the DRS zone there. That might leave him under pressure from George Russell as well. 10 seconds up to Charles Leclerc. We basically need over a second a lap. Lando Norris, though, we should definitely close up to by the end of this. There we go. New fast lap, 34.5. We've taken a second and a half out of Charles in the second half of that lap alone. This race, you know what? It's not over yet. Got to give credit to Lando Norris as well. 22 laps of racing here from COTA. He's still only 7 seconds away from Charles Leclerc and his Ferrari. It really has been a valiant effort by Lando when he did spend a lot of the afternoon getting held up behind some slower cars as well. This is just what Lando Norris does, isn't it? Just gets in the groove and is able to pull away from cars that really you'd expect him just to be able to battle with. But he just gives himself that margin, and it looks like he might reward himself, I think. Would this be his first podium of the year? I can't remember if he had one earlier on in the campaign. There was a big slide out of the final corner, though. That might make the move a little bit easier for us as we pull alongside the McLaren. Up now into P2 then of the GP, and 6 laps to go. 7 seconds to Charles Leclerc. The tyres will start falling off towards the end, but at the moment, we are still closing in at over a second a lap. 4 laps to go. The gap down to Charles Leclerc, 4.5 seconds. This is potentially going to come down to the wire, but these tyres are already starting to fall off. We spoke such high praises of the mediums going as far as they did. The soft tyres just seem to fall to pieces around here, but we aren't going to give up just yet. 3 laps to go, 3.3. This could, I mean, if it's going to come down to the wire, it is literally going to be the final lap that we're going to get a chance at Charles Leclerc, but we've just got to get 3 more qualifying laps in to the line. I'm giving it everything. I'm taking big risks at the moment through some of the corners just to try and give ourselves a chance. Charles Leclerc is starting to struggle as well on his tyres, because that time round we've brought the gap down to 1.6 seconds. If we get within the DRS range, we are going to, of course, gain even more free time on the Monegasque driver. This race is really getting dramatic right towards the end. Who is going to win the US Grand Prix? Final lap then here from Kota. Our big lock up through the final corner. So much understeer there, but we cannot give up just yet here. 1 lap to go of the US Grand Prix. We are still having to absolutely concentrate, but of course after the incident earlier on, I thought we were down and out of this USGP. I thought P2 was still attainable, of course, just because so many of the AI behind struggling, and of course in much slower cars. But Charles Leclerc, he knows he needs this win if he wants any outside chance at defending his Formula 1 crown. We want to try and win this race to pretty much eliminate that chance for the Monegasque driver there, as you can just see as we head our way up the hill. Oh, a tyre wear warning light has just flashed up. I'm not going to get within the DRS range, I don't think, and that might be enough to put pay to any slim hopes we still had late on in the afternoon. We're going to drain the battery as we head down out onto the back straight there, but Charles Leclerc, despite the controversial contact, he might just have done enough here to walk away with the win here at the US Grand Prix. Started P2 after grid penalties for Kevin Magnussen, took the lead early on. We were able to apply so much pressure, got round him, had a small wobble, he got round the outside of us and just turned in completely across my nose, in my opinion. But from then on, Ferrari have been in control once again, and it might well be another late race charge for a World Championship for Charles Leclerc. I'm pretty certain I've seen it in every season on this F122 game, whether it's in the Haas Road to Glory or the My Team Career Mode. Charles Leclerc, back-to-back race victories. We're going to come through for back-to-back second places. We extend the lead at the top of the title, but that is really frustrating.
Great work, well done. We're really happy with the podium here, well done.
So another excellent win from Ferrari. So Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions and perfecting the team strategies. They got all those things right today, and the results speak for themselves.
Here come our winners now, a thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again. So let's review the updated driver standings. Mr. Monaco increases their championship lead. So then, Natalie Pinkham, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. It was a tough race for our championship leaders who lose ground at the top of the table. Well, that was certainly an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
Well, there we are then, the end of the US Grand Prix, and Charles Leclerc gets back-to-back race victories there, means he is certainly not out of his championship battle just yet there. We come through for P2 ahead of Lando Norris there, Ocon ahead of George Russell, and then our teammate there able to defend from the Dutchman in P6. Verstappen, Sainz, Hamilton and Ricciardo rounding out our top 10 this weekend. So, although, yep, gutted that we couldn't fight and take the win, of course, you know, we can't be too disappointed when we were able to keep those other cars at bay there, and of course, especially Max Verstappen certainly needs to try and pull out points ahead of him. Does mean championship-wise, though, 14 points now the lead as we leave Kota. You can see 36 back to both Perez and Charles Leclerc now, so that battle is certainly heating up. Magnussen as well, tied on points with George Russell a bit further back there as the Mercedes man re-jumps our teammate. No other movers though further down the rostrum, but could we be in for a four-way scrap for this World Championship there. Lando Norris is still hanging around in P5 after just being so brilliantly consistent throughout most of the season there. Constructors-wise, though, we've now got a 46-point lead over Ferrari, so we could have a pointless weekend and still be ahead of them. Of course, I'm really hoping we don't, because we need every point we can possibly muster in the final few races of this campaign. 72 points at the Red Bull would basically require a miracle before the end of the year there. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we will be back very, very soon when Formula 1 returns to the Mexican Grand Prix. That one is always dramatic. We need to keep the form up. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.